Just a short video. We're going to focus on something called conscious behaviours. Now, why is this important? This is actually a really, really critical factor in the difference between businesses that do okay, potentially stagnate, or even fail. A lot do, and those that really go on to achieve that long-term success. And that is fundamentally to recognise that businesses are about people. And I guess we look at people in through two lenses. One is individuals who have certain skills, experiences, attributes, which allow them to do a great job in their particular function, in their particular role. And that's what we need. But as companies scale, we also need those highly talented people to work together collectively with, hopefully a sort of a common agenda in front. Now, this is where it gets quite difficult for a lot of businesses, is helping people to come together that might have differences in background, experiences, viewpoints, personality, ways of working, etc., to come together and work in harmony. Now, when we look at teams, quite often what we see as important is that state of harmony where everyone kind of gets on, where we feel a bit like family. But the reality is, really successful businesses require an element of healthy conflict, actually. We need to capitalize on difference. We need to capitalize on diversity. And we need to get to a position where we have a culture that allows people to sort of air their views, to be listened to, for everyone to debate without that spilling over into, bad relationships, unhealthy conflicts, disagreements that aren't really putting the business at heart. We need to find that balance where healthy conflict allows us to, hopefully get to a position where we know this is the right way for the business. This is, something that we can all get on board with. And actually we all understand the role that we play, and we're going to work together to make sure we get there. Now, for this to happen, for this state of healthy conflict to happen, we require people to adopt a real commitment to conscious behaviours. Now, in the book Raising the Odds, we go into this in a lot more detail, but I just wanted to kind of bring it to life a little bit as one of the kind of main enablers for scalable strength and for long-term success to hopefully be achieved in your business. So the best way to look at conscious behaviours is like this. So we have a line, and people, as individuals or teams, can occupy an above the line position or a below the line position. Now, above the line position is mostly positive behaviours. So these are behaviours that are, ultimately helping the business to succeed and to grow and to ultimately to build strength. Whereas below the line behaviours are actually fairly negative things. So in isolation, they might not, seem like such a big deal. But ultimately, as they sort of amalgamate and they become more chronic in cultures, these are the things that can really create barriers to growth, and they can really hold companies back. And sometimes it's a little bit too late before they recognise that it comes down to the conscious behaviours or unconscious behaviours of people. So let me just give you 3 examples. Number 1. So problems are something that we face all the time in business. There's no business that doesn't face risk, problems, issues, challenges that potentially will knock them off course, mistakes that are made. Now, the difference between conscious and unconscious behaviours when it comes to a problem is that unconscious people and unconscious businesses will seek to blame, or they'll seek to find fault. So they might blame. For example, if they haven't achieved a certain goal, or they've not grown the business to the extent they wanted to, or they failed on a certain project, they might blame circumstances beyond their control, changing market dynamics. This person over here didn't fulfill their job, etc. Actually, what we require in businesses is responsibility. We require a conscious behaviour of responsibility. This isn't to say that these factors won't be a factor, but it is to say that we have a responsibility to predict those, to mitigate those risks, to get in front of them, to challenge those people that maybe aren't contributing, to adapt our plans when the goalposts move, to maybe get in front of that. So we're lowering the chances of something like a problem having a detrimental effect on the business, and ultimately adapting our course and get into a position where we take authority for something, we learn from our mistakes, and we ultimately adapt our plan without needing to go through a series of challenges from various people to get there. Another example, let's kind of focus on our direction. So quite often, you may have been in sort of businesses, and the business has a plan, it has a strategy, or it's making certain decisions around projects or initiatives, and ultimately there might be a few people who don't really buy into that plan and don't really sort of believe that's the plan, or feel it's misinformed, or this bit of information or data has been lost. Now, unconscious people at this stage, whether this is born out of a deliberate decision to not intervene, or maybe it's a confidence thing, maybe they don't feel that they can put their hand up, will keep quiet. So potentially they may have information here that is really crucial to ensuring the business makes better decisions, and that it recognises and opens its eyes to risk that maybe the leadership team don't see, but actually, you know, risks and opportunities are omnipresent. We all have eyes and ears. We can all see these things. Unconscious behaviours is that we keep them inside and we don't present those to the right people. What we need is candour. We need people who are prepared to speak up. And actually, if we think about that, how frequently, you know, is it that people have spoken up in a meeting or something, and maybe their ideas or their inputs have been maybe pushed down, and that has kind of knocked their confidence or made them feel, well, if I'm not going to be listened to, why should I? As leaders, especially as founders, as business leaders, regardless of our level, and as board directors as well, we have a really, really important role to play to create the environment where people will be listened to, and that actually opinions and viewpoints will taken on board. Because sometimes, you know, the best ideas, or actually the thing that we need to plan for or overcome, you know, the risk that's going to present itself, is actually somewhere else in a business. It's not actually around the board table and the leadership table. And another one I want to just, you know, raise comes to collaboration. So, you know, beginning I talked about, you know, businesses require great people, but they require more so great people to work together in a very sort of productive fashion. So therefore collaboration is really, really key. So collaboration is a really vital conscious behaviour, a commitment to collaborate, a commitment to see it as us, a commitment to ensure that, you know, ultimately we support each other and that we challenge each other to a certain extent to hopefully get the best. We run that race together, which is a metaphor we use quite a lot in the book. Whereas people who, you know, maybe unconscious might actually focus more on their own agenda. And again, we have to be careful in businesses around how things like metrics and goals can actually drive quite siloed behaviour, and we need to you know, make a big effort to ensure that silos are not formed and that we allow collaboration to thrive. And then crucially, if there are people or individuals who are putting, you know, their own specific agenda, their own reward, their own, you know, ideas over and above what is maybe right for the business, we need to sort of really question what damage that has, and ultimately support the people who are seeing themselves as a bigger unit. Because fundamentally cliched, but a team is, you know, is much stronger than its individual components, and that is a key trait within companies that achieve long-term success. They get the team functioning and they empower that team to go off and drive the success and growth over a long period that all companies ultimately seek. So conscious behaviours, have a look at it. Something that's really, really important as a basis as we move into scalable strength.